Okay, so I recently watched the opening to Chainsaw Man, and after watching it, I just wanted to discuss it. I'm going to give a fair warning. I am going into plot specific discussion. Um, so I will be spoiling things. Uh, I'm going to hit play on this. I'm going to discuss it moment by moment. I might be rewinding. You have 5 seconds to leave if you're watching this video before I start spoiling. Five, four, three, two, one. So I'll just go over this beat by beat. I like the little symbology in the background. I will. I wasn't quite sure what I was looking at over here the first time I watched this because it blazes by so quick. But the entire idea of the almost like the fallen angel, I believe a fallen angel. I forget exactly what classical painting it is, but I think I've seen it at some point before. Really fitting considering the focus is primarily on this world that's sort of inhabited by beings that can take on fears to become powerful and wreak havoc on humanity. And considering Denji is at the forefront of that history, since he's the main character, it makes sense. And considering that a lot of the characters in this show have made either pacts with devils or are under contract with them, it also makes sense that humanity, so to speak, is at the forefront of this history, of this lineage, or this new, twisted, weird take on this type of mythology. Typical anime pose, but I'll take it. I'm not sure what the little record scratch was for, except for just stylistic choices. I also got a comment before we get into this. Not exactly the tone I was expecting. Not exactly what I was expecting music-wise. This is Kickback, but I was expecting it to be a bit more poppy, I guess is the best way I can describe it, all the way through. But it has more of a punk styling going on in the first half of the song, at least for this short minute and a half cut of it. But yeah, there's the squad. Denji's goofy smile. They're really trying hard to capture some of his goofier expressions from the manga. This is a nice shot. This is a really nice shot from early in the manga. I guess it depends. It might be early in. Yeah, no, because this will be his the death of. It's been about a year or two since I've read the manga. Either one or two of his parents, if I remember correctly, and this should be him. Denji meeting Pochita, forming the bond with him. This shot, I'm not sure if that's if this is during a. Let me see, where is this again? I'm pretty sure this is in the manga, but I don't remember the exact point. I'm just mostly focused on how odd the gun looks in this scene. It looks like they overlaid or scanned in an image of a real gun, put a cell shading over it, put a filter over it, and then just slapped it onto like a 2D/3D animation model. That's just funny to me. This Machete Devil and Denji fighting. If I remember correctly, the Snake Devil jumping into what looks like a shrine of some sort. I'm actually not going to lie. I don't remember this scene happening in the manga. I'm not sure if this is just a stylistic thing they're going for, or it's either stylistic, they made a change, like this is an anime-only scene, or I'm not remembering this sequence and I have to look up the panels of the manga again to double-check and make sure my memory's up to snuff, so to speak. Cool shot, though. And then, yeah, that should be, this should be the whole hotel section. This is very early on in the manga. This should be where they're stuck in that hotel and have to sort of find a way out. And they're all sort of, in a sense, like getting used to the fact that they're stuck in there. Denji's just going to be like, I'm going to take a nap. I hope that makes it in. I really do. I hope... Whose car is this? There's a part of me deep down inside that kind of hopes this is the inside of Kobeni's car. But I doubt it. This is a great shot, though. I love this. Aki driving, and then there's someone in the back seat. Again, it's been a while, so some of these moments I don't fully remember. I'd have to see it in motion, like fully, to see if it jogs my memory completely. Nice shot, though. Oh, wait, let me see in the background. Oh, hey, it's the Tomato Devil. That's a nice detail. That's the devil Denji kills in the first chapter. And then we have over here. Hmm, that picture's interesting. Where is this in? Where does this happen again? Is this with the Bat Devil? Is this where like Power's gonna knock him over the head to try to save his cat? To save, not save his cat, save her cat? Hmm. I'm not sure. And I gotta say, yeah, yeah, he is looking great. This is interesting because this is an interesting shot, and I do think this is stylistic. Because again, from what I remember, only Denji and Makima. Denji goes out on a date, um, more with Makima, but it's just those two. I don't recall all of them ever going all simultaneously, especially with old Shark Boy back here. Yeah, this is. I think they're just doing this for the anime, unless they're adding an anime original scene where they all go to a movie, which I would be all for. That would be perfect, but I doubt that's going to happen. I also do like, in a sense, how the characters who are the closest to each other are, he's sort of the mentor figure. He's kind of on his own a lot of the times, but he also doesn't want to be near Makima, I would imagine. Um, is sort of in the background. All the primary characters that are going to be the main like focus are in the foreground. Kobeni with and then it's a good lineup. It's a good lineup. Dad takes your seat. I wasn't even paying attention to that. I was just paying attention to Makima and Denji this whole time. I saw that Power had taken the seat. I didn't see how Kobeni came back and is like trying to argue with her to take the seat back. But that kind of factors. That's a nice touch because considering Kobeni, I'm not sure if they actually go into elaboration. I think at one point they speculate, but they don't go into full elaboration, and I'm not sure if they're going to in part 2. But Kobeni has like a bad luck or a good luck devil, so in a sense, anything that bad that happens to her won't happen to her directly, so she can get off kind of scot-free. Nothing can really, from what, from the way the manga portrays it, nothing can really touch her. She just suffers. So in a sense, even something as simple as Power taking her seat and her losing her seat at the movie theater is a nice touch to add to that. Makima feeding Denji food like the good dog he is at this point early in the story. Nice touch. Again, as far as I'm aware, this, unless my memory is terrible, this does not happen in the manga. Unless this is an anime-only scene that they're hinting towards, this is just stylistic. It's kind of like how some scenes in the Jujutsu Kaisen opening and endings don't actually happen at all during the entirety of the first season we have so far. They're just not in there. So this could just be a stylistic choice. I don't really think that's necessarily, if it's style only and these scenes don't happen, I don't think it's necessarily a good thing, though, because I kind of want to see this. Like, I want to see these, if they add new scenes in, where they're actually hanging out more, I'd like to see that. Because honestly, we don't see enough of it in the manga. I really love the manga, Chainsaw Man, but we don't actually get to see enough of it. It moves at such a breakneck pace that these moments are very, with the exception of a few specific chapters, such as the movie, the date night chapter, so to speak. It's not very often you see this stuff in the manga. Like, it's very brief. Like, there are a lot of sections that are like split up to where it's like plot point development, move the plot forward, and then sometimes you have really long drawn out sections where the characters are just hanging out, but it's not extensive. So I'm curious to know if they're going to add new scenes in, but with a 12 episode runtime, I don't know if they're going to cut, stuff out, if they're going to add stuff in, if they're going to go for longer episodes. I'm not sure. Love the music too. Love these shots. Like, some of the CG is a little iffy here and there, but compared to some of the other stuff that other anime studios have worked on, this is leagues better than that. There's a lot better in terms of like visual stylization. it's a much better blend between 2D and 3D, because that was the one thing I was really scared of, is like how, and then this is literally just the animators giving in to people wanting fan service for power. So, oh, well then there's that too. Yep, should be Makima. Yeah, Makima. Both literally and quite figuratively, and I do like how, now that I think, looking back on it, this, something like this is a flagrant foreshadowing on a figurative level in terms of the story's themes and ideas, but also in terms of what Makima can actually do to people. So they're already planting that idea in people's heads as if it's a joke, and then a lot of people, hopefully those of you who want to watch the anime are not here, because I'm going to spoil it, the fact that Makima is pretty much like the real main antagonist of the story in a sense, is going to fly over a lot of people's heads with this opening, just this opening specifically. That's a good transition. And then, oh yeah, that is flagrant hinting towards the massacre in the second half of the story with the Gun Devil. And I am so glad they're barely showing anything. That's just the gun rack. That's just the ammunition rack hanging down from the main body. But it does a really good job of giving a sense of scale. I love the shadows with it. Then there's this. This is from early on in the series. This is almost exactly the way it looks, I would say. Almost. This upcoming scene is brilliant. This is actually probably my favorite moment in the entire opening. Should be right here. Everything involving Makima right here, like with her petting him. This shot right here. Okay, sorry about that. Someone walked into my room and was very confused as to what I was talking about. Um, anyway, this shot right here of him reaching out to Makima is perfect, and I especially love, I was thinking about this for a while. You know, at first it looks like he's, oh, I didn't even notice that. Oh. Oh, I didn't even notice that the first time. That's a nice touch. Anyway, I really love how he's reaching out to Makima, and it seems as though he's reaching out to her like he cares for her, oh, he loves her, or something like that. He can't get enough of her. But then the camera tilts down, and we see what he's really after. And considering how sad this manga is going to get near the end, that's a really fitting way to kind of lure viewers in, I would say. Because the way they're portraying this, especially with the coloration, the visuals, even the music, in any other anime, this would be seen as like a quirky, creepy, like, fetish thing. That's not really what's going on with Denji, though, but they're going to try, much like the manga, they're going to sort of try and use that as a way to lead audiences in with this. Considering how emotionally stunted Denji is as a character, how much and how that ties into his relationship with Makima and how that relationship eventually falls apart near the end of the manga, in a sense. And we see this like very much in this opening, and I especially love because I watched this before I started filming this, and I had to sort of collect my thoughts, step away, come back, and decide whether I wanted to watch this or not to react to this. But I especially love this whole 10-second section is my absolute favorite because I especially love how he reaches out to it and he can't quite obtain it. It's like he reaches through, and it's very much the same type of. There's a lot of aspects to this. One, because Makima is the control devil. In a sense, it's almost like she's cast a spell over him. So when he reaches out to something that he feels is tangible, that he can obtain, it's not actually real. It's just her manipulating him. On top of that, even if they're not going for that angle, I kind of like this idea that he's reaching out and just touching water. It's almost like he's reaching out and obtaining something that he can't actually get, or something that, as he finds out, when he does obtain something so shallow, he doesn't actually it doesn't actually bring him. It's much like water. It's not something solid. He just goes right through it. So they're very much doing a good job of conveying he's reaching for something shallow, and in a sense, he's drowning in his shallowness. You know, he doesn't have anything because of his lack of a family. This group, this organization he belongs to, basically is his family. He doesn't actually know or understand how to um, grasp for anything other than something shallow, because he's never been able to fully have that, except for like maybe with Pochita, when he was like, mostly it was just him and Pochita against the world in a sense. But anything else past that in terms of normal human relationships, Denji just doesn't have anything, any reference point for it. So in a sense, it makes perfect sense why they would use this as a visual metaphor for him reaching out for something. But it's not the actual person he's reaching out for at this point in the story. It's just it's just something else completely shallow that's a part of that person. But when he reaches out to grab it, he falls right through, and it just sort of evaporates away like water. It's all just a pointless. He realizes it's a pointless illusion, and he needs to reach for something more meaningful. They nailed this part, and in about 5 seconds, they're going to go one step further and nail something even better. Because I need to talk about this. This is what convinced me. This right here is what convinced me to talk about this opening. I had to. I really love how he's sort of wrapped around almost in a. I didn't even notice that it was Venus flytraps. That's perfect. Because Makima is manipulating the shit out of him and pretty much everyone else, or almost everyone else in the story, most of the time. Him being trapped, like wrapped up in her web, almost like poison or vines or Venus flytraps, where when you approach her, she sort of lures you in with a sense of false sweetness before springing the trap, and then and on top of that, this also ties in visually with some of the powers. If they get to part 2, some of the powers that will be visually displayed are very much like a vine. She wraps people up in her power, in her control, as like a connection point. So having these vine-like connections wrapped around Denji, are going, in some cases, like right here, going through his clothing like it's inside of his body. Perfect. They nailed it. I especially love how they almost portray her almost as if she is the real Luciferian or satanic figure of this show. Because of this. Like her... Like that's an interesting shot, but I'm not going to get into that right now. But this right here, where is it? Did I imagine that? Or is that in another moment? Oh, it's coming up. It's coming up. Yeah. This is great. I also kind of like how it's a... I don't know if it was intentional, but I wonder if it's also a nod to Goodbye Eri, the recent one-shot that Fujimoto wrote, which I still need to get around to reading. Nice touch, though. But I love how, in a sense, like, we see him being motivated by her attention to become and be utilized and used by her. But then there's this shot. This is brilliant, because in a sense, she's feeding him almost like the fruit of temptation to get what she wants out of him. But simultaneously, what they use for the imagery for this is perfect. This is a snail. For any of y'all out there who do watch this video and don't understand what this is, even if you've read the manga, or just in case, again, if my memory is not serving me right and they haven't shown this in the manga or not before, it's been a while. This is a snail, to be specific, that is not normal. This is a snail under the control of a parasite. So there's a parasite that snails can get infected with, and it goes right to the brain of the snail, controls and forces the snail to go up to a high point for a bird to eat it in order to get in the bird's digestive system to finish its life cycle. So her feeding him a creature that is already under complete and utter total mind control to Denji is almost like a treat, is perfect. That is a perfect visual representation of what Makima is capable of and what she accomplishes throughout the story and how much damage she does, and also very much so visual representation of the control devil, because it's a parasite that takes over the brain and takes away the control of the snail, and that's what Makima does a lot of times throughout, not all the time, but a lot of times throughout the series, is take control away from people. Just perfect. A little too on the nose if you know what it means, but if you don't know what it means, perfect. And then there's all this. This is just the animator showing off. Oh, wait, hold on, though. There is something there. I gotta see. Oh, okay, no, it's just a jump. Okay, I thought there was someone else in midair. The 3D, like I said, sometimes it looks a little dodgy, but a lot of other times it looks quite good, especially for anime, because, God forbid, a lot of anime has trouble even today with 3D, so this is definitely better. Which one? Yeah, that should, unless my memory's not serving me well and that's a new one, that should be fairly early on, like first few chapters. Considering this is the first half of the manga I think they're adapting, or a little less than half, that makes sense. I'm really curious about the pacing. Power. Yep. These are just money shots. And then, I don't know about this. They just added this. I wonder if, because the first time I just thought it was a cool visual, but I wonder if what they're alluding to here is, again, Denji very much reaching for something that he wants to reach for that's more meaningful. The bowling ball was him hanging out with his squad, his group, and his mentor. Not mentor, but handler. Makima's really his handler. Hanging out at the bowling alley having fun. And in a sense, it almost like snaps him out of the Chainsaw Man mode. And that's a very big core component of the series thematically, is this, are you a tool or are you a person? You know, are you a devil or are you like, do you have anything in you in terms of your humanity besides what you're being used for as a weapon, is a major point with Denji's growth. I'm not sure about part 2 of the manga. I've seen some snippets of it, so they're going in a very different direction than what I was expecting. But in terms of part 1, that's a very major aspect of it, because Denji is in a sense, he's a very empty person. Especially for someone so young, he's very empty and is trying to fill a void that he doesn't fully understand. And in a way, this is almost like him snapping out of the moment and realizing there is something more meaningful to aim for than the shallowness I was aiming for as portrayed earlier in the opening. Unless that's just a... I didn't even notice that. Power with the clan. When they try to take on... Oh, I'm not even going to spoil that. And this is just a cool visual, I'm not going to lie. The little apartment segments. Those will be fun. And this... Yeah, this is going to hold a lot of weight and significance, specifically in part 2. I don't think they're going to really get to this until part 2. I don't think they have enough time. If they get to this in part 1, unless the episodes are like an hour long each, there's no way. They're going to be rushing it. I'm really worried if they're showing this early in, unless it's like a teaser. Like maybe if it's a teaser, like an after credit scene. Or maybe they'll throw it in like as a dream sequence in one of the episodes, a very brief moment, or like an after credit sequence. Maybe, but this door, I don't know. Maybe this kind of makes me a little worried, considering there's also a possibility that if for some reason something happens and part 2 doesn't get animated, audiences are just going to have to go to the manga to figure out how important this door is. I know that sounds silly, like I'm talking about the importance of a door, but it's true. That's just... Oh, there is one thing. Yeah, this is adorable. There's one thing I have to comment on. The moment I saw it. Where is it? It's making me laugh just looking at it. The future devil's little dance. Because in the manga, I didn't really imagine it looking like that. I just kind of imagined him, like, like maybe like flexing, like look how important I am. But yeah, the future devil, this is perfect. I just want to, if there's any animators who worked on this, who are watching this, I just want to let them know this is perfect. This is way more than I was expecting from the future devil in terms of animation. I mean, it's great. It's great. I instead of like flexing or anything, he's just doing a little dance over how important and special and amazing he is. And this is going to be a very major factor going later into the story. It's interesting how they show the future devil after the door. I think that's a smarter move because if they showed it in the other sequence, if they swapped it, it'd be a little too obvious. It's good that they kind of threw some of that imagery out of sequence because that door is important and it does relay back to the future devil. Not going to go into it. That one looks good. It kind of loses, I will say this though, it kind of loses the rough rawness of the black and white panels in terms of how scary it is. But it still looks really good. Machete Devil looking really spiffy. And then there's this little goofy dance with Power and Denji. That's perfect. They would break out into a little happy dance. Perfect way to end the scene with Aki with his little chomp. And that's pretty much all I have to say about that. And I'm not sure if episode 1 has aired or not yet. So I'll get around to watching it eventually. I mean, I've already read the first whole section of the manga. So yeah, that's all I have to say about my discussion with the opening. Musical pacing is great. Visual pacing is great with it. A lot of a good mixture of both manga imagery and symbolic imagery that isn't going to be, it's not going to be apparent to a lot of people. Some people are going to kind of pick up, I would imagine, on the Makima stuff, but a lot of the other stuff, they're not going to know how important that is. It's not just like the little devil, the future devil dancing. They're not going to fully realize how important that is. That's not like an off joke character. That's a setup for something very important going into like how, if the anime gets a part 2, how part 2 will play out. And I love how they're sprinkling some of that stuff in. And I love how, I just really love this opening. This is a really solid, I was kind of worried that, oh, maybe the music might be good, but the opening may not be good, or maybe the opening will be good, but the song may not be as good as that initial beat we saw in the teaser trailer. No, this is a solid opening. This is Chainsaw Man manga reader approved, as far as I'm concerned. So, with that, I'm done.